Doom 3 Resurrection of Evil is the first expansion pack for Doom 3, which came out in August of last year. This expansion pack picks up about 2 years after the first game, where Union Aerospace has rebuilt the base on Mars. They picked up a signal from an artifact that was buried beneath the surface, so they've got their science teams down there investigating. You play as a Marine who's helping out the scientists investigating the dig site, and you come upon this evil artifact, and as soon as you touch it, it opens up another portal to hell, and a whole new slew of demons come out and basically kill everybody but you. So you're the only surviving Marine, and you have to fight your way through the invasion in the base. You're helped by Dr. Elizabeth McNeil, who was referenced in the first game but wasn't actually in the game. And you'll basically just have to fight wave after wave of enemies as you make your way through the base and try to get back to hell and seal the artifact there. Resurrection of Evil plays very much like Doom 3, so if you played the original game, you should know exactly what you're getting into here. Once again, the game is very dark. You have to rely on your flashlight a lot to see where you're going. There are a lot of little touches all over the place that are meant to scare you, monsters spawning in. A lot of ambient noises, subtle lighting tricks. The effect is cumulative to make the game feel a lot like an interactive horror movie. Even though the gameplay is fundamentally the same, there have been a few incremental changes that kind of help add some variety. You've got a double shotgun now, which we haven't seen in a Doom game since Doom 2. You'll also get as a weapon the evil artifact that started all this mess, although you won't get to use it as a weapon until later on in the game. As you go through, the artifact will start to accumulate powers that you can access in the middle of battle, such as the ability to slow down time, to go into a berserker rage, and even to become invulnerable. Finally, there's the Grabber, which is a physics gun that's not unlike the gravity gun that you saw in Half-Life 2, although here it's a lot more combat focused. You can use the Grabber to grab things like fireballs that enemies throw at you and fling them right back, which can act as a really powerful weapon. The gameplay here is really similar to what you saw in the original game. You'll move into a new area, clear it of monsters, look for logs that the scientists have left behind that give you clues as to what you need to be doing next, and then you'll move on to look for your objective and the exit to the next level. The action can get a lot more furious than it was in Doom 3, mainly because Resurrection of Evil throws a lot more enemies at you at once. Sometimes you'll be dealing with 5 or 6 enemies at a time, and you'll have to use your hell powers to manage all those threats at once. Resurrection of Evil starts off strong. One of the complaints that was leveled against the original game was that so much of it looked the same. You were spending so much time in the same sorts of metallic industrial corridors. So at the beginning of this expansion, you get to go through 3 levels that are set in the original archaeological dig site. Later on, however, you will go back to another Mars industrial complex, although at least the bulk of the game does give you some pretty good variety in that base. And then finally, you'll travel to hell once again to try to sew up everything that's gone wrong. This expansion pack has fewer storyline elements than the original game did. You'll still pick up a lot of PDAs, but for the most part, those are just to update your security clearance to get through new doors. You won't have to spend as much time reading emails and listening to audio logs to get clues. And there are also only a few cutscenes in the game to break up the action. On the multiplayer side, the biggest addition is Capture the Flag, which was missing from the original game. This was done by 3Wave, who are the guys that did Capture the Flag way back when for the original Quake. They've also bumped up the player limit in multiplayer to 8, and there's a handful of new maps for both CTF and Deathmatch that are set in some places like the dig site and Hell that help add a little bit of extra variety to the multiplayer. When it comes down to it, Resurrection of Evil is basically just more Doom 3, and since it's an expansion pack, that's exactly what it should be. The Hell powers especially, and also the new shotgun and the new enemies, do help to add some depth and variety to the gameplay, but for the most part, this is basically the same thing you played 8 months ago. Given that that's the case, if you like Doom 3 a lot, this is exactly what you're looking for.